Hello YouTube world, I am back with something very, very different. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and this is a very, very basic beginner's fluid art course. And in this one, number one, I'm going to show you what I feel is an essential equipment list and maybe a not so essential equipment list. So, you know, when I first started, I went out and got everything and I spent a fortune, and it really wasn't necessary, and I regret some of the things that I've bought. So I'm making this because, well, my beginner's workshop starts again soon, and I want to be able to say to people that come just for tasters, if you want to learn more, I have a set of beginners videos. So I'm hoping that it's going to be as simple as possible, and I'm going to talk you through what I feel is essential. And we're going to start off with a level surface. You might have a kitchen counter, a kitchen table, a dining room table. I'm lucky enough to have purpose-built workbench. Workbench is fine. Mine is about 6 foot by 6 foot, and I have a drying rack underneath that is built in. I'll put a picture here, and it is completely level. And I know this because I had a chap who was a carpenter with the biggest spirit level in I've seen to make sure it is level all the way around. Now, that is the most important thing in fluid art. If you forget anything else, make sure your surface is level. The second thing to do with your surface and your floor is protect it. My table is covered in some old plastic bags that I found up in the loft that I've had about 20 years. I cut them up and gradually going through them. And on top of that, I've got some just a dust sheet from B&Q, which I change periodically. And I've also, on my floor, I have some disposable mats that again you get from B&Q. Let me pick one up. Here you go. Floor and surface temporary protection. They're about £1, I don't know, between £1 and £3 from B&Q to protect your floor. So important. You can use newspaper. Another thing that is really useful in acrylic pouring are the puppy piddle pads, or you can get from Amazon the incontinence bed sheets. They are so useful for soaking up paint and again giving you extra protection. So I would say that they are number one in your priority list. The second thing you're going to need are canvases. Actually, do you know, they're in no particular order, these. So this is an old used canvas. You can buy them, let me get that. This is from Aldi's actually, or Lidl's canvas set, very basic, triple primed in white, ready for painting. You don't need to worry about putting gesso down. They're ready to use, perfectly okay. You will get corners in the back. I tend to, here we go. If you buy very, very cheap canvases, you'll find that these sometimes just fall out, especially from Hobbycraft. So I just chuck them in the bin. But if you get more expensive canvases, and actually the ones from Aldi's and Lidl's are brilliant because they fit, and you put the stretchers in. Let me just have a look. Show you on this one. You put the stretchers in, pointy side, flat edge, push them in as far as you can go. Do not hammer them in. When I first started, I was hammering them in, but you will warp your canvas, okay? So you put them in, and I start off with push them just as far as your thumb will put them in. One corner, then do the opposite diagonal corner. Okay, and then you do the other corners. That will help tighten your canvas. Small canvases like this are normally very good, okay? But what you can do to further tighten your canvas, if it's a bit flimsy, is take a bottle filled with water, spray bottle, and give it a few sprays. And you will find within half an hour, that canvas will tighten up. Let it dry before you use it, and it's good to go. Next, push pins. These are giant push pins. I'll put the link in the description below. They're very useful, actually, because you will need to stand your canvas on something. Now, equally, for a couple of years actually, I used just upturned plastic cups, 4 of them like that, because I knew my table was level. But recently I've gone back to these. These are perfect because you can literally pick your wet canvas up and move it somewhere level to dry, and not worry about balancing it on cups. You need a hammer. Doesn't have to be a heavy duty one like this one. Put them in. I tend to avoid where the actual canvas folds over, and I put it on the flattest part. Okay. I then have a small spirit level just to doubly make sure, that's slightly out, that my canvas is completely level. And what I'll do is I will just adjust these to a desired keep going until I get the desired level, that bubble right in the centre. And sometimes I'll spend half an hour doing that. It's so important. So there you go. That's the surface, the protection, the canvas, and the push pins. Also, for small canvases, if I'm not selling, I don't necessarily protect the back, but many people will use frog tape, and this is, I've gone through all sorts of tape. I've gone through all sorts of tape over the years. Tried all sorts of things, picture tape, gaffer tape, and this probably is about the best one. And nothing is completely leak proof. This is frog tape from any major DIY suppliers. Screwfix, I get mine because it's just around the corner. And I'm simply putting it down right to the edge of the canvas. And this will help protect your canvas. Oops. I've been making it really, really mucky. What I then do is just take my thumb and I will really push that down on the edge, like that. You can cut these off with scissors. You can use a cutting mat. You can use a cutting mat like this one that I've had for donkey's years. And I simply take a scalpel. This is a surgical scalpel. Obviously, if you're not used to using scalpels, please don't use them. I learnt to use a scalpel, believe it or not, safely at art college many moons ago. So there you have canvas, and then actually put your push pins in afterwards. You have a canvas ready with your push pins in. It's level, it's tightened, all good to go. So next, we've dealt with the frog tape, dealt with a hammer, dealt with a canvas, surface, spirit level, push pins, and don't forget this is in no particular order. You will need mixing sticks. Now these are silicone, I'll put the link in the description. You can also use lollipop sticks. But if you want to save money in the long run and don't like throwing things away, these are just fabulous. Stirring sticks for paint. You will need various vessels to mix paint up in. You can have a paper cup. You can have various plastic cups that you wash and reuse. Silicone cups for smaller quantities. These also got a little spout on them, which is very good for pouring paint from. And you will benefit from measuring jugs to measure up large quantities, i.e. your pouring medium, which we will go into in another video, and larger quantities of paint that you might want to use for backgrounds. You will need a bottle of water on standby. What type of water you use is up to you. I used to use distilled water from my tumble dryer, and I used to filter it through muslin, so I knew it didn't have any impurities or bits of fluff in there. You can buy distilled water, but I just use normal tap water now. I don't really see any difference after a few years of doing this. You need water. Okay, moving on. You will need, I'm trying to think of these in the right kind of order. So you have your vessels to mix paint on. You obviously need paint. We will go into paint in another video, but get yourself some black paint and get yourself some white paint. Okay, this is Amsterdam. It doesn't have to be Amsterdam. Amsterdam white and black are very good in acrylic pouring for creating effects, cell activators. You will need some colours. Now, don't go out and necessarily buy every single colour under the sun. PBO is a good make and very often is on half price at Hobbycraft. Dale and Roney is perfectly adequate. Amsterdam again is really very good. Winsor & Newton probably a step up again. And I have a variety of paints. Arteza are good. These these little tubes actually, it's not necessarily cost effective, but in workshops, one tube will be used completely. So it kind of eliminates wastage, but not incredibly cost effective, but they are very highly pigmented. Also, you have golden fluid, which are very, very good, and we will go in and mix. In another video, we will go into detail about all of these paints and how to mix them. So there is a variety of makes out there, and I suggest you just go and get yourself the basic colours, but again, we'll go into that in another video. What is helpful to have is a colour wheel. I think this is really important in fluid art actually. You need to know your colour theory, and again, these are readily available in any art shop. Amazon, this one's a bit tatty, you need to get another one, and we'll go into colour theory in another video. You will need pouring medium. Now, there are all sorts of different pouring mediums on the market. I am based in the UK, so things like a Floetrol, this is imported by somebody in the UK, can't remember who. I'll put the link in the description below. I don't tend to use it, but I do use it as a cell activator, which we'll go into another video. There's PBO, Studio Acrylics, medium, pouring medium. I haven't got much experience with that either. Liquidex pouring medium, very good. Again, that is probably about £25 for that size, 946ml. And to me, they're just not cost effective. I use PVA glue, and if you're a beginner, I would suggest you don't bother with anything else apart from PVA to start off with. This is no nonsense. It's £10 for this, for 5 litres, Screwfix B&Q, and we'll go into how I mix my paints in another video. Probably the second one actually. Ooh. What's next? Once you've mixed your paints, it's a very good idea to have some vessels, Tupperware or whatever these are little tappers pots that I get from Amazon with a lid sealed. And any leftover paints will be fine in there for quite a while, as long as it's sealed and kept out of the cold. My studio is a cabin in the garden, and I have a strip light that is on all of the time that you get for garages and outdoor buildings, just simply to stop the frost getting in. So acrylic paint cannot freeze, and you'll find you'll get all sorts of problems with splitting. But once you've made up your paint, you need somewhere to store it longer term. Once I've made up my paint and I'm going to use it the next day, I'll simply cover this with cling film. What's next? Okay. Really important, again, tweezers. Often when you've mixed your paints up, and all the best will in the world, you sometimes get gunk, and you want to be able to stop, and you want to be able to stop tilting, you want to be able to pick that gunk out quickly. So you need these at hand. A cake spreader is a good tool for spreading backgrounds. I don't tend to use it so much now, I just tilt paint off. I use a tile for doing consistency checks, and this is something again that I will go into in another video. And you don't need a tile, you can use card, thick card, very useful. I very nearly forgot one of the most important things. You need a blowtorch. This one, it comes with disposable canisters. It's quite ferocious, but I probably change this once a year. You can also use a little cook's blowtorch. They do the same thing. You just get used to using one or the other. I like the fierce one. So you use these for popping air bubbles. Really important. You can't use a hairdryer, you can't use a heat gun. You need the heat, you need a blowtorch. What else? Yes, gloves. Again, you don't need gloves, but it is a good idea because you're dealing with glue, you're dealing with paint, different pigments. Sometimes I start off wearing gloves and then I end up not wearing gloves, but acrylic paint is awful to get out. I've given up having my nails done because it's a waste of money. Never wear jewellery, or try not to wear all your old clothes. If you get acrylic paint on you and it dries, it will not come out. End of, forget it. And I can tell you that most of my clothes have paint on. So just be prepared for that. Kitchen roll is, I would say, one of the most essential things. You use it in a technique called swiping, cleaning up, and also wet wipes also are very good. Get the biodegradable ones. Have I got I think these are biodegradable ones. I've had those quite a long time, but I do try and buy the biodegradable ones. Kitchen roll, I think we're coming to an end now, actually, guys. Let me just have a quick look. So we've done the surface, the canvas, the push pins, the frog tape, the paint, the what's that called? Colour wheel, vessels to mix your paint up in. Yeah. So here's a list. I'll list these in the description below as well. And other useful things that I haven't gone into that you might have at hand, like palette knives are good, and brushes can be handy. Yeah, that is it. So I hope you find this useful.